Hello and welcome to another episode of the program. I'm Sibisola Atikun. Amid economic reforms in Nigeria, the nation's economy has been projected to reach $1.85 trillion by 2029, suggesting a significant growth trajectory for the country's economy over the next 5 years. According to data by the International Monetary Fund, Nigeria's gross domestic product in purchasing power parity terms has been steadily increasing from $1.36 trillion in 2023 to $1.852 trillion in 2029. The data shows a consistent growth trend with a notable increase of 5.5% expected in 2029, suggesting that Nigeria's economy is gradually expanding, although slowly, and is expected to continue this trend over the next 5 years. The fund also predicts Nigeria's share of global GDP based on PPP to reach 0.78% by 2029. This represents a slight increase from 0.77% in 2023, indicating a steady growth trajectory for the country's economy. The country's share of global GDP has remained relatively stable, fluctuating between 0.775% and 0.778% from 2024 to 2028. Economists believe this positive outlook is a testament to the country's efforts to diversify its economy, invest in infrastructure, and promote foreign investment. The House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Renewable Energy to investigate ministries, departments and agencies with dealings in investments, procurement and receipt of grants for the development of the renewable energy sector. The probe, which covers the period from 2015 to 2024, is to be conducted within 4 weeks ahead of the submission of a report to the House for further legislative action. The resolutions of the House were sequel to the adoption of a motion titled Need to Investigate Investments in Renewable Energy Sector and Foreign Grants Received from 2015 till date, sponsored by the lawmaker representing Oshodi Solar Federal Constituency, Lagos State, Jesse Onwa Kalusi. Leading the debate, the lawmaker asserted that poor electricity generation, transmission and distribution constituted a huge threat to the nation's quest for industrial and technological development. The lawmaker further noted that despite the huge investments and foreign grants to develop the renewable energy sector and contribute meaningfully to the public grid to improve electricity supply and economy. We'll take a short break. Money Matters will return shortly.
Corruption not in my country.
Now, yeah?
Yes, Oga.
Okay.
Where I go come find 300 naira change?
I better try look for change now. When they do business. Hey, Timmy. I did, bro. I be. I beg, give me 200 naira. Make I take sort out this guy. If let's no get change.
Take it, give us.
I said 200.
Give her 100 naira.
Yeah.
Okay, I agreed to pay 200.
How much you think they carry people from that place we carry on the chair?
Oga.
What they touch me?
Now 100 naira. He agreed to pay.
Because that was what you said was the fair. Why you not go pay you? Why you they extort your customer? You see this corruption, what would they hear for news? They see for people everywhere. Now be this so. This is corruption, not in our country.
Corruption not in my country.
Stop corruption now.
Welcome back. In company news, International Breweries PLC has allowed non-shareholders of the company to participate in rights issue. The statement from the brewer, which is a part of AB InBev, the largest brewer in the world, on Thursday disclosed that non-shareholders could acquire traded rights on the floor of the Nigerian exchange through stockbrokers. The rights issue, which opened on May 21, 2024, will close on June 10, 2024. International Breweries launched over 161 billion million rights issue last month, offering shareholders 6 new ordinary shares for every one existing share held at an issue price of 3.65 naira each. The company further revealed that the next net proceeds from the rights issue would be issued to settle its outstanding US dollar-denominated loan and provide working capital support. According to the firm, the tradability of the rights on the floor of the Nigerian exchange ensures liquidity and accessibility for shareholders throughout the offer. Nigeria's oil palm company Presco PLC is presently in talks to acquire a 100% equity stake in the Ghanaian Oil Palm Development Company. According to a corporate disclosure by Presco, the company will make an initial deposit of $64.962 million, with the remaining balance to be settled in the future. Presco expects that the deal will help it in its currency diversification efforts, as GOPDC generates about 41% of its revenue from export sales. Presco says some of the reasons for the deal including increased market share and customer base. The company expects that the transaction will cause its plantation size to increase by 19% from 43,457 hectares to 51,760 hectares. Another rationale proposed by the company is economies of scale, as the deal is expected to help Presco strengthen its competitive position as well as optimize its resource utilization. The acquisition is projected to amount to $124.9 million, with the purchase of over 70 million ordinary shares of GOPDC at a price of $1.77 per share. It's time for another break, and when Money Matters returns, we'll discuss concerns raised over the proposed amendment of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act of 2007. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On Digi 360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
Digi 360, dissecting the issues.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello, Alhaji. Right now I'm in Abuja. No. Hello, Adamu. Right now I'm in Kano. Yes. When I get back, I will just call you. Look, what is wrong with you? I'm talking on the phone and you are gesticulating and doing. What's wrong with you?
Daddy, where exactly are we as we speak?
Are you alright? This is Lagos.
Well, you just lied to someone that we're in Abuja.
Keep quiet. Who told you can tell an elderly person is lying?
Daddy, you just lied. And by lying, you are raising corrupt children for the future of Nigeria. That is corruption, not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Welcome back. There are rising concerns in business circles over some of the proposed amendments in the bill sponsored by some senators to amend the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Act of 2007. The bill to amend the CBN Act was sponsored by Senator Tokunbo Abiru, Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, and co-sponsored by all 41 members of the committee. Although now postponed indefinitely, financial experts and industry stakeholders have warned that some of the proposed amendments amendment of the Act, if passed into law, could undermine the independence of the apex bank, thereby posing great risk to the economy. According to them, while some of the proposed amendments of the CBN Act are commendable as they were designed to entrench the culture of compliance, strengthen corporate governance, and enable the apex bank to be repositioned for improved performance in attaining its mandate, some others could erode the regulator's autonomy and weaken the independence of monetary policy, a situation which they say is at variance with international best practices. They pointed out that having an independent central bank remains the accepted practice across all major world economies, stressing that the move by members of the National Assembly to amend the CBN Act 2007 could send negative signals to investors. Well, the chairman of the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf, is here to give an expert's view on the projections of the amendment. Thank you for making out time for us, sir. Now, one of the most contentious changes proposed in the bill is the introduction of a coordinating committee for monetary and fiscal policies, which will be chaired by the Minister of Finance. Now, how will this change the dynamics of the CBN operations if approved?
No, I think it's going to affect the autonomy of the central bank. The central bank has enough machineries or apparatus to be able to function. And I don't think it is appropriate to now impose another committee on the central bank. Because if you have that kind of committee, whatever decision of the committee is, we have to be binding on the central bank governor or the central bank management. And that will go counter to the whole principle of CBN autonomy. So I don't think it's necessary. The president already has a coordinating minister for the economy. They already have an informal structure, to ensure that they coordinate policies of government between the finance ministry, trade and investment, the central bank, and some other key economic ministers. They already have a framework. I think that should be sufficient, to ensure that we have proper coordination between the monetary and fiscal policy and even trade policy, because it's not just about monetary policy, it's also about trade policy, it's also about sectoral policies. So there's a whole lot of coordination that needs to take place. So I don't think that is necessary in my view.
Another objection to the amendment is subjecting the CBN's budget to National Assembly approval. Experts believe this will undermine the Apex Bank's institutional autonomy and introduce the potential for political interference in monetary policy. Do you also think that this could be the case?
Well, I think there are already provisions in the Act to make the CBN accountable to the National Assembly. For instance, the CBN, I think, is supposed to report its operations either quarterly or every 6 months to the National Assembly. That provision is there. And the CBN also has some oversight, authorities over the central bank. What has happened in the past is that the National Assembly, particularly the Senate and maybe the House have not been exercising their powers of oversight over the central bank. Perhaps they were compromised or something. They have not been effective. Even where the central bank was violating the CBN Act. For instance, like in waste and means financing, when the CBN was going around with the, Naira redesign policy and all of, they could not put their foot down to call the CBN to order. So when the National Assembly itself is already compromised, it weakens its own position. It weakens its moral authority. It weakens the power of its oversight. I think that is what we should be looking at. The problem is not with the law. The problem is with the fact that even the power that the National Assembly has over the central bank by way of oversight, they need to exercise it more assertively without compromising their own positions. Secondly, we need to ensure that we also put the right person at the leadership of the central bank. Because if you have a right law, you have everything right, and the person on the seat is not the right person, you still have issues. So the problem is not so much with the law. The problem is with our ability institutionally to ensure that whatever is contained in the law is adhered to. I mean, under the previous administration of the CBN, there were flagrant violations of the CBN Act. That is what led to the waste and means financing getting up to almost 30 trillion naira. as against what was provided for in the Act. So I don't think the problem is so much with the Act. I think it has to do more with even optimizing the current institutional framework to ensure that the CBN is made to do what it's supposed to do.
Now, stakeholders in the capital market have also warned of potential adverse economic consequences if the proposed amendments are passed into law. Do you also agree with their fears?
No, their fears are valid. This is something that is avoidable. We don't need to, undertake an exercise that is not so critical at this time. The problem for me is not so much with the CBN Act. The problem is to make the operators in the system to work more efficiently, to work in compliance even with the existing laws. But when we begin to open the window for interference by the National Assembly, it will corrupt the whole system, which will not also be good for our economy. It will not be good for the perception of the Central Bank of Nigeria generally. There's already a window for the National Assembly to exercise some oversight. I mean, there's a banking and finance committee in the Senate, and they also exist in the House of Reps. So there's already a window to exercise some oversight over the central bank. We don't need to go to the extreme of allowing too much of intrusion, or meddlesomeness in the activities of the bank. It will not be good for our economy.
Now, do you believe that perhaps the major reason behind this amendment stems from the tenure of former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, who ensured the powers of the Apex Bank expanded to unprecedented levels, with the bank extensively intervening in the economy?
Well, that is why I said the quality of the person occupying the position also matters. When things are not working well, it is not only about the law, it's also about the person. So going forward, we must ensure that the right person is on that seat. If you look at the CBN Act properly, there are provisions there to also ensure that there are checks and balances. And when there are violations of laws, there has to be sanctions. If there are sanctions, whoever is taking over that position subsequently, either at the leadership of the CBN or as members of the board of directors, they will be able to know what they are in for. They will be able to, conduct themselves more professionally. You cannot just have board of directors that are just sitting there and they are not doing much. And we also need to have, more independent directors. I think that is also can help. That is one area I think we could have some amendments. More independent directors on the board. Because we have the board now that is filled with, public sector people, people who are, I think nominated maybe by the CB, and all the deputy governors are also members of the board. So we could have more independent directors, who will not be amenable to being pushed around or something. I think that is one area I think we can do something different.
And finally, I must ask you, earlier this year, a bill proposing to limit the tenureship of the CBN governor to a single term of 5 years, if eventually approved, it passed a second reading. Do you think that this will help rid the excesses of the Apex Bank governor?
No, I think the current tenure, I think, is 5 years, renewable. That is not too much. That is not too much. If you have, it's renewable anyway. So if at the end of the first term, if the CBN governor is not found worthy, you can always replace him.
Yes, I mean, the bill was non-renewable 6 years, non-renewable. Just this.
No, what I'm saying is that we can leave it as it is. 5 years renewable for one more term.
Okay.
If in the first term, if the governor did not perform well, you have the opportunity of replacing the governor. If he's performing well, why change a winning team? You leave him there or leave him or her there. So I don't think that is also any big issue. If you have somebody who is doing well, I mean, you can always renew the term.
Well, we'll wait and see whether or not these amendments will be approved. Dr. Muda Yusuf, CEO, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise. Thank you, sir, for lending your insight. And that's all on this episode of the program. We'll see you again next time. Thank you for watching.